greetings from the Alabama Gulf Coast. Warning, this video may contain a little bit of adult language if I get carried away about Karl Rove and forget that I'm a gentleman. But let's start with Dennis Hastert. Poor Dennis Hastert. The former Speaker of the House is just one more Republican congressman accused of sexual misconduct. And this appears more serious than Democrat Anthony Weiner sending a selfie of his wiener to a college co-ed. Now, to be fair, Mr. Hastert has not been charged with sexually abusing a high school wrestler yet. But he has been charged with not disclosing bank withdrawals of more than $10,000 each to pay a total of $1.7 million as hush money. In 2010, when the former student and wrestler finally confronted Mr. Hastert, they agreed on a sum of $3.5 million. But the feds caught up with Hastert after he paid only $1.7 million. How could this happen to the beloved Denny Hastert? After all, in his youth, young Denny became a born-again Christian as a teenager. Then he enrolled at Wheaton College, a Christian liberal arts college in Illinois, where he majored in economics. You ever heard of Wheaton College, spelled W-H-E-A-T-O-N? They have famous alumni in addition to Denny Hastert. Another Wheaton College alumnus is Bill Gothard. Now, he's the Christian minister, if you didn't see my last video, who counseled Josh Duggar, the oldest of the 19 kids and counting, after young Josh molested his little sisters. Then we discovered that preacher Gothard resigned his post after being accused by 34 female employees of sexual harassment and molestation. Bill Gothard received his bachelor's degree from Wheaton College in Biblical Studies, his master's in Christian education from the same institution, and a PhD in, wait for it, Biblical Studies from the Louisiana Baptist University, which is an unaccredited institution in godforsaken Shreveport, the armpit of northwest Louisiana. In the past, Louisiana Baptist website stated that the university, quote, had never sought government accreditation due to the nature of the educational services we provide. Our mission is to train people for the ministry. Because of our strong belief in the separation of church and state, we have never invited government oversight of our programs. Side note here, because the university only grants non-secular degrees for the use in various ministries, it operates under religious exempt status in Louisiana. They don't pay taxes. Still, another prominent alumnus of Wheaton, the Christian Liberal Arts College, is Michael Gerson, who served as President George W. Bush's chief speechwriter from 2001 until 2006, and he was a member of the White House Iraq Group. Now, you're probably asking, the White House Iraq Group? And like me, you're wondering, what the fuck was that all about? It was an arm of the White House to inform the American public why Bush had to invade Iraq in 2003. The White House Iraq Group was set up in 2002 and chaired by no other than, Karl Rove, to coordinate the various White House departments in the run-up to the war in Iraq. However, it is widely speculated that the real intention of that task force was, quote, escalation of rhetoric, meaning bullshit, about the danger posed to the U.S. by Iraq's weapons of mass destruction, including the introduction of the term mushroom cloud. Michael Gerson is considered to be a leading figure of the evangelical intelligentsia movement. It is a group of scientists, university professors, politicians, and policymakers who seek logical reasons to deny climate change and evolution. Is that an oxymoron? Evangelical intelligentsia? The most famous of the Wheaton College alumni is certainly Billy Graham. He is still revered even by Christians who are not born again, because they've all forgotten about the secret tapes with Richard Nixon in the Oval Office when Reverend Graham joins Nixon in trashing the Jews. Captured on the tapes, Reverend Graham agreed with Nixon that Jews control the American media, calling it a stranglehold during a 1972 conversation with Nixon, which implied that Billy Graham believed in a Jewish conspiracy to dominate the media. When the tapes were made public, Graham apologized and said, quote, "Although I have no memory of the occasion, I deeply regret comments I apparently made in the Oval Office conversation with President Nixon some 30 years ago. They do not reflect my views, and I sincerely apologize for any offense caused by the remarks," unquote. But then, more Nixon tapes were released in which Graham is heard in conversation with Nixon referring to Jews and that synagogue of Satan, unquote. Reverend Graham, how can you claim to be a Christian role model when you trash the Jews? Jesus would not approve of you denigrating his religion. Yes, Governor Huckabee, Jesus was a Jew. And if you say Jesus was raised a Christian, Governor Huckabee, you really are making up some shit. And here's to your health.